Vamos, Carlos, how dare you underestimating Sainz? This man has already shown his capabilities dozens of times, outscoring Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris on a distance of a season and showing straight and consistent performances throughout the whole year. Still, pole position is quite a rare achievement for this charming man, so let's break down how he was able to deliver in home qualifying session. Carlos, Max, shots are synchronized on start-finish line, and let's start. By the way, the straights in Monza are so long that I will actually fast forward. And already a few things in the first corner. First of all, Ferrari has a greater top speed than Red Bull. The exact same picture as it was 1 year ago, and 1 year ago it was pretty unexpected, because in previous year as well as this year, Red Bull looked to have the best top speed on the grid. But it turns out that for a short period of qualifying session, and specifically for such a low downforce track as Monza, Ferrari is able to gain a better top speed. You can see that Carlos Sainz will have a constant advantage at around 5 km/h. The same thing was between Charles and Max 1 year ago, but in race that difference disappeared for some reason. If we pick some random laps, we would see that actually the speeds are pretty similar. Of course, they will differ a bit, but still you got the point. Somehow Ferrari manages to extract a bit more out of the engines in a short run, but it will not help them in the race. The second thing about turn 1 is Carlos Sainz braking later than Max Verstappen, and the third thing about this corner will be how smoothly he will get off his throttle. Quite a rare thing to actually notice. You see, he was holding his throttle and getting off it really slowly. Now Carlos just jumps on this first curb. I guess we can call it a mistake. Now check the pedal work, regular two-line technique, which suits perfectly those Ferrari engines. Charles Leclerc is a master of this technique, but I already told you about this in several occasions. No pedal input from Max Verstappen, but a higher speed. Quite a usual situation for Max. And we see Carlos having a slight, tiny oversteer on the exit of the corner, so not the best first chicane for Carlos Sainz. We fast forward the whole Curva Grande till the next chicane and till the end of the second sector. And we see Carlos actually winning 0.5 of a second on Max Verstappen purely due to Ferrari's top speed. But not the best sector from Carlos. Actually, Charles Leclerc had the best first sector of entire qualification. But now let's drag forward Max Verstappen towards Carlos Sainz and press play button. And once again we see Max braking a little bit earlier than Carlos Sainz, but the difference is not significant. They brake, they enter the corner, they're at exact same spots, but from now I want you to check Carlos Sainz's pedal work and how smooth he will be with his inputs throughout the whole chicane. You saw Max applying nearly full throttle, but then going back, and Carlos was just pretty stable with holding throttle at around this range. And actually, the exit from the second chicane and the second chicane itself is the only mini sector which was purple for Carlos Sainz. But still he managed to get pole position. Now check how both drivers are razor close to the gravel trap, but still not touching it. Brilliant driving on a display, and we go to Lesmo 1, and for Lesmo 1 actually Carlos is not trail braking so much as Max Verstappen, which is again pretty logical considering their approaches to driving or driving styles. Max was pretty fast throughout both Lesmo corners during the whole weekend, but now I want to draw your attention to this stuff. Carlos is clearly not on the track. And it was a problem with both Lesmo corners during the whole qualifying session. I constantly noticed that drivers go off the track but do not receive a penalty. And actually I am okay with it because there is a gravel trap around here, which is a natural track limit. If you touch it, you lose time, you may even lose your car. So the situation is fair and square. But I still don't get it why 1 million lap times was deleted in Austria and judges just closed their eyes on track limits, at least in Lesmo corners. Looks pretty unfair if you ask me, but we go forward and I want you to check the line of Max Verstappen between Lesmo corners. For comparison, Carlos Sainz was more straight, and this one may be a sign of a bad habit actually, but I didn't notice Max Verstappen doing this for most of the time. Maybe he was just too wide on exit from previous Lesmo, and once again we see Max will brake a little bit later, so trail brake into the corner a bit more. But for such a fast corner it is actually okay. Max takes the apex a little bit more aggressively. And also Carlos faced oversteer in the exit. Now again, I bet that he's out of track limits, but I already told you everything I wanted to tell you about this, and Lesmo corners goes in Max Verstappen's favor, but still Carlos Sainz managed to gain 0.06 of a second advantage in sector 2 due to perfect exit of second chicane and due to Ferrari's top speed. But we will not drag Max Verstappen any further, and let's check the Ascari corner, the Ascari chicane. So they start braking at the exact same moment, but Carlos is a bit ahead, so once again Carlos braking a little bit later than Max Verstappen. Now check the lines. Carlos Sainz is too aggressive with his apex. Max Verstappen is not aggressive enough, he has a bit more space here. Interesting situation. We move towards the second Ascari corner and Carlos just a little bit tiptoes throughout the corner, while Max Verstappen is going full throttle. Red Bull may actually have a better downforce setup for this particular circuit, which will explain this difference. Or just Max Verstappen has a big balls, I don't know. So we move forward, exit of Ascari chicane, and this exact spot is actually the most prone to oversteer, maybe for the whole circuit. Maybe the exit of Parabolic I can compare to it actually. But both drivers are doing pretty good, no signs of correction, and using track perfectly. And now the very last corner, infamous Parabolica, and actually Max Verstappen will brake a little bit later. Brakes later, Max was actually pretty aggressive on the entrance. Max knows when to be aggressive with his steering input, and we see him already being a bit ahead at the apex, having a higher speed throughout the corner, and from now on Carlos will tiptoe a bit once again, and Parabolica was a win for Max Verstappen as a whole sector 3 basically. He gains back 1/10 of a second, puts on the best sector 3, but it was not enough to compensate for time lost in both first 2 sectors. So overall a tiny but still a win for Carlos Sainz. Brilliant job, good consistent lap, he didn't make any major mistake and was able to capitalize on Ferrari's top speed advantage. This is it. Thank you very much for your view. Please leave a like, leave a comment if you want to support the channel or if you have something to discuss with me. Subscribe to the channel. See you soon.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows where